Good morning, and welcome to the Lone Star Weekly Business Hour. Your host, Rick Schissler, is a Silver Fox advisor who personally has over 40 years of experience as a serial entrepreneur. So sit back, pull out your pad and pencil, and get ready to take notes as we join Rick Schissler in his Lone Star Weekly Business Hour.
Good morning. This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor, welcoming you to this week's Weekly Business Hour. Got a great show planned for you, and I hope that you'll sit back and enjoy it. Before we get started, though, I'd like to send a big thank you out to the Montgomery County United Way for sponsoring Health Palooza this past weekend in Heritage Park. They put on a great show, great opportunity for families and folks to come out and learn a little bit about wellness and better health habits. And we really appreciate the opportunity here at Lone Star Internet Radio to be invited to broadcast live from the event. Thanks again to the Montgomery County United Way for the great work you do every day in our county, and particularly for this past weekend. It was a great event. And remember to always check our website at www.irlonestar.com for upcoming events that you and your family can enjoy. We post it on the website. You just have to click, and you can see all the things that are happening throughout Montgomery County. So stick with us on that, and always refer to www.irlonestar.com for the best in information and news in Montgomery County. Let's start out this week, as we usually do, with a few tips and ideas of hopefully you can use in your business even today. The first thing I'd like to touch on is we've been going through for the last 6-7 weeks the 8 principles that last a lifetime by Jeff Hayden. And we're down to number 7, and I've found these all very interesting. Even though I've been in business for a number of years and been around business, I think this is an appropriate list of ideas that we all can adopt into our life that will help us to be better people and also better business people. Number 7, always turn ideas into action. Always turn ideas into action. Jeff says the word idea should be a verb, not a noun, because no idea is real until you turn that inspiration into action. How many times, and I'm asking you to be honest on this, have you had an idea about your business, or maybe an idea about just your personal life or something going on around you, some other area of your life, and you think about it, you think through it, but then nothing happens. You don't talk to anyone about it. You don't put it into action. And let's stay with business for just a minute. Say you have an idea about how to improve your business, or an idea of how to help an employee improve their work, the quality of their work, their productivity, and you just sit on it because you're afraid to bring it up. And, that's the main thing, is that we hesitate, we're uncertain. A lot of times we hear the word procrastination. Well, that describes the action of what happens. Really what it is, I think, and I agree with Jeff on this, is we hesitate, we're uncertain, we're afraid. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure. In other words, if we talk to the employee I mentioned earlier and try to help them and encourage them to change a behavior that would make them better in their work that they do, we're afraid that they may, say, get defensive or something will go wrong in that conversation and they'll take it wrong, and all of a sudden we've tried a positive situation has been turned into a negative situation. And the encouragement here is trust your gut, trust yourself. When you have an idea to boost your business or change your personal life or to help someone around you at work or outside of work, think through it, be careful, and be careful how you approach it, obviously the way you discuss it. But if you have an idea, and in this in particular, kind of switch gears or raise the ante a little bit, if you have an idea for a business, go through it, think about it, don't be afraid. Don't let fear and hesitation stop you from implementing that great idea that's just waiting to happen. And remember one thing, every idea won't work out. There's no doubt about it. We can't get it right all the time, but we don't know unless we try. So the encouragement, try your ideas out. Just don't sit on them, share them. The second thing that I would like to talk about today is kind of a qualification list. I was doing some reading this past week, and I read several articles, actually reading a book now about entrepreneurship. Lots of them out there, lots of information. And if you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, or as I define it, someone who starts a business, then I think there's some kind of a checklist you should develop or think through before you make that step. And I think one of the things that really stands high on my list, the thing that's up in the top 5 is your ability to inspire people. I think that's an important characteristic. Now, again, I don't think you have to have one of these type A personalities. You don't have to be able to go around, all day long. People are just following you, trying to be around you or whatnot, or you're a great talker, kidder, or whatnot, stand out in the group. But I think you have to be able to and want to inspire people. And you do that by being able to articulate, to be able to talk about your dream, and in turn inspire people. And we're not just talking about employees. We're talking about customers, investors, partners, and also employees, of course, as well. And if you're married and you have a spouse and you're going to go out and start a business, you've got to have the ability to convince them or inspire them that what you're doing is the right decision, not only for you, but for your family. You've got to be able to energize people. And again, this is not the big wow, but you have to have that desire and ability about your idea, a business that you're going to go into. You've got to be able to inspire people. The second thing I feel that is critical is you have to have a certain level of discipline. This is an area I personally struggle in from time to time, but especially in the early days of starting a business, you've got to be very, very disciplined. You wear many hats when you start a business, particularly if you're on your own and you don't have the funds to hire people right off the bat. So you've got to be very disciplined in what you do because you have so many things, so many issues to deal with, so many responsibilities, so many hats to wear that you've got to be disciplined enough to prioritize and then follow through and get them done. Knock off that to-do list on a daily basis. So I think discipline is very, very important, even though it's often downplayed, especially in the early days of a startup when you're fighting to each day to make that business lift off, get off the ground. So it's very important. So I encourage you to look in the mirror and think through whether you have the discipline, the ability to make it all happen. The third area, I think, is the networking ability you have. In other words, you've got to go out and be able to network people. And this also means going to, say, Chamber of Commerce events, which are real big here in Montgomery County with the Conroe Chamber. They do a great job in giving people an opportunity, but you've really got to like that kind of atmosphere. You've got to enjoy meeting people. You've got to enjoy being able to share your story. And at the same time, and perhaps more importantly, you've got to enjoy helping people, because the way to get your business referrals and get talked about is that you extend your hand and you help other people in their business and show that you want to be part of what I call the business community. So you've got to have that networking ability. This is an area that a lot of people start a business and they really don't give much thought to, and they end up skipping it or just sort of brushing it by. They go to one network event and they think that's enough. It's a constant involvement. It goes on your priority list. It has to be attended to. I'm not going to get into detail today about how often you should attend network events and whatnot. There's a whole discussion there. But you've got to understand that if you accept the responsibility and start a business, that one of the things that you need to be careful that you're not too shy or whatever the point is, that you will get out and network. The fourth thing I'd like to touch on is you need to be someone who is unequivocally committed to the results. In other words, you're all in. You have the passion for the business, yes, the emotional gut feel that you want to make this happen, but you have to be committed to sticking it out. You're going to have good days and bad days, and it's been my experience when I start a business, the initial days of that business seem to have more bad days than good days, because there are always things I didn't think about that might happen, and I have to be able to adjust. I've got to be able to roll with the punches. I've got to be able to pick up the pieces, and I'll tell you, when you get good at it, you'll pick those pieces up and make something that was even better than when that bad thing happened to you. But that's going to happen to you as you go along in business, probably forever, and your ability to commit to the end results, even though you've been knocked down, it lifts you up and keeps you going. Last but not least, I'd like to talk about an area I think that is just grossly overlooked, and that is risk handling ability, the ability to handle risk. Now, there are two types of risk here and I want to make sure it's clear. There's risk handling and there's risk taking. I think everyone spends a lot of time talking about risk taking. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to take a risk. I've got so much money in the bank. I've got a family. I'm going to take a risk. But what I'm really talking about here is your ability to handle risk. In other words, when something pops up and you've got to tackle it head on, otherwise it will overwhelm you and potentially overwhelm your business. You've got to feel comfortable in handling risk. It's just one more challenge in a business. And a lot of folks are not really geared, at least initially, to handle risk. They evaluate the risk taking, which is almost like an event, but the risk handling, the things that pop up and their ability to react to them, and as they build the business, reduce the amount of risk that they have in the business. Very important and something to keep in mind. Well, I appreciate this opportunity to talk to you this morning, and hopefully some of these ideas and tips will be at least meaningful to you and perhaps encourage you in your own business to take some steps to make a change that will be positive for you and your business. We're going to take a short break now. I hope you'll stay with us. We have a very, very special guest with us today. A little twist on what we normally do with a guest, and I'll share that with you as we come back. We'll be right back with you, so please, again, stay with us.
It takes something special to make it in the business world. Montgomery County is fortunate to have a diverse pool of industries and businesses. Join me, Cassandra Roshan, Director of Membership Development with the Greater Conroe, Lake Conroe Area Chamber of Commerce, for Mind Your Business. I will sit down with our chamber members to talk history, community involvement, and get some tips of the trade on how to be successful in our current business environment. Tune in on the third Tuesday of each month at 11 a.m. to hear from our members of the Greater Conroe, Lake Conroe Area Chamber of Commerce talk about their professional experiences. I guarantee you will walk away with insight of how to mind your business.
You're listening to Lone Star Internet Radio now for your daily weather report. Today is Monday, May 19th, 2014. Today's forecast will be partly sunny with a high near 84, south winds 5 to 15 miles an hour, and later tonight will be partly cloudy with a low around 65.
This weather forecast is brought to you by Donalwick Public Relations. You've seen the billboards. That's right, Wicked Publicity. Contact them today at 832-326-1965 and visit wickedpublicity.com.
Did you know there are over 800 abused children in foster care in Montgomery County? Will you help make a difference? I'm Susan, a volunteer with Casa Child Advocates of Montgomery County. April is Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. Casa Child Advocates trains and supports volunteers to be the voice of children who have been removed from their home because of abuse or neglect. We need volunteers just like you to speak up for these children. To learn more about becoming an advocate, please visit CasaSpeaksForKids.com or call 936-441-5437.
Welcome back to the Weekly Business Hour. This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor. We have a very special guest, as I mentioned, here in the studio. We have Ashlyn Kutter. She is the co-owner of the Switch Hair Studio. Good morning, Ashlyn. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you. I'm doing wonderful.
Well, it is a beautiful day, and I promised you, audience, this is a little twist. You know, normally our guests that we have come into the studio, they've never been here before, and they're a little shy, a little bit nervous. They come into the studio, and hopefully they leave feeling good about themselves, good about their business, and good about being associated and affiliated with Lone Star Internet Radio. Ashlyn, on the other hand, though, she is no stranger to this studio. Are you, Ashlyn?
I am not, actually. Nope. I do feel a little new since I have a silver fox sitting in front of me, though. That's the new. I know you said that I feel comfortable, and I do, but I get a little nervous when there's such an important person sitting in front of me.
Well, I don't know how important I am, but Ashlyn actually has a show, a weekly show here, the Switch Show, on Fridays, and so she's an old hand, so she's part of Lone Star community, and we thought, wow, what a wonderful guest to have in. She's got a great business story, so let's talk about your business story. Give us a little bit of background on yourself.
First of all, I want to thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it. But my business, I graduated from Conroe High School in 2009, and I was able to take the cosmetology program they offered for your junior and senior year. So I got involved in that, and when I graduated, I received my diploma and my license. And so from there, I knew I wanted to do something. And in the back of my head, in the back of my heart, I knew that I wanted to have a business someday. My dad was he had his own businesses and really proactive about that. And so I thought to myself, hey, I can do this. So I tried to make the connections as much as I could. And I would go to different salons and sit in and watch and see how people did things, and something that I could take on. A wonderful opportunity arose for me my senior year in high school. I was able to connect with Ashlyn Kutter, which I worked with her as a receptionist. I had my shampoo license, so I was able to shampoo and clean and take after her salon and be there, answer phone calls and book appointments. So I was able to learn what a salon looked like. And I had the opportunity to be in there, and I realized that I actually truly loved it. So when I graduated, I worked there part-time, and I took on a job in the Woodlands called Dionysus. The salon there is Aveda. I worked there for 4 months, and I did all my training. I learned a lot. You had to get there early in the morning. You had class with our instructor, and then the first Wednesday of every month, we had a big sit-down, big class with the whole studio. And so I learned a lot, and I grew a lot. I got tested in different areas, and at the time I thought that, man, that boss is so mean. Why is he making me clean this over and over again when I have, only 15 minutes left of work? But I slowly learned now that those things were important, and I see that in my own business today. But when I left Dionysus, I took a plunge, and like you were just talking about, taking risks. And I was a little nervous, but since I had the foundation with Allie, my business partner, she had a spare room in the hair studio where she was working, which is 336 North Main Street, so just up 2 blocks. And she said, hey, take a jump, like maybe you can do this. And I thought, hey, let's try it. So I got a chair and I got a mirror, no decorations in that back room. And I made some business cards and got a DBA so I could deposit my money into my business account. Luckily, I was living with my parents at the time, so I was 18, and I didn't have to pay for home and all those expenses, so I thought this could be the best time. I worked through high school, so I'm going to use my little savings that I had and make something of it. So I began then and started working. I had a little Facebook, and I had a little blog where I would take photos and post. Well, I continued to do that, and through that, I was still working part-time for Allie and for myself. My clientele, I was probably only bringing in 3 to 4 clients a week, and that was a big deal for me. And so through that time, I was really dedicated to step out and to push myself a little more. And so with that, I had the Facebook, and I grew from there. And through that, I worked the steady hours from 9 to 7:30 to allow myself to truly, have all those opportunities for my, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Let's do this. I mean, and obviously you. I want to stop you here because you have absolutely covered some things that I'd like to explore a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, you went into a high school training program.
I did.
Okay, so early age. I mean, early age as far as being in business for yourself, so to speak. You're getting. So you sought out training. You'd already made a decision, apparently, that this was an area that you thought you might want to go into.
Right.
So at an early age of 15, 16, somewhere in there, you started to pursue a dream, the way I look at it. And so you got training, which, I mean, that's just fantastic. So many folks walk up to line and start a business, and they've worked somewhere, they've done this, but not necessarily in that area. The second thing I've noted about what you said is you took on what I'll call an internship, because you went down to the Woodlands, you worked for obviously a well thought out, company that's been put together, got training programs, and I look at that from my perspective as an internship, and the idea that I had schooling, training, formal training, a lot of book learning probably, and then now I'm going to go down and get an internship in a pretty aggressive, challenging program.
Yep.
And a boss who was challenging me.
Definitely cried a few times.
The difficult boss. I mean, this is wonderful advice to people. I mean, if you have that opportunity, so you did the internship, and I'm assuming it further validated what you were doing, that this is what you wanted to do.
It sure did.
I mean, you've done some wonderful things as far as advice I would give people. And then, of course, you received the opportunity to have a back room, as you called it,
Yeah,
a
the
chance
back room.
to try it out. I mean, wow. I mean, you just didn't have to plunge in and
Right.
commit all your resources.
Well, that's what I was truly blessed in that whole situation.
Yeah.
Because without having that as a friend and my employer at the time, I wouldn't have had that availability so freely given. And so I'm very thankful, because not many people have that opportunity. But if you do and you know of people, that's one thing that I really strive to know people, and to, like you were saying, to get yourself out there. And the connections are always key. I feel like in anything, not just business, connections were really important to me. And so I was thankful, and I worked hard to make those, because they've helped me along the way now, where I'm at Switch. So.
Well, like I say, you used my way of doing the metaphor I use is building blocks. You started to build your foundation solid. I mean, with education, with training, with internship, practical experience, trying a little bit on your own. I call it the old toe in the water to see how cold or how. And at each step, you got a chance. And this is very important. And a lot of people miss this, I believe, and I learned the hard way myself, that you benchmark. You set certain goals at certain times and say, when I get to this point, I need to be here. And if I'm not, I'm going to back up and say, okay, is this the right way or the right place for me, or whatever the questions. But the idea is I don't just keep pushing ahead with something that's not going to work ultimately.
Right.
And like I said, I learned that the hard way. But once I adopted that kind of strategy, and it sounds like that's what you did, is that you just kept progressing in the field until you got yourself established. And that's kind of where you are today.
Well, it wasn't easy, though. I don't want anyone to listen and think that it was a simple process. I'm thankful for those connections, but it was a lot of dedication, a lot of long hours. I missed out on a lot of things because I was focused on my baby that I had, which was my business, and I knew that I wanted so much more and so many greater things, not only for myself but really for my clients. And so that was where I had to change my mindset, and I think that was difficult. I was 18, all my friends were going off to college and hanging out and having these fun little jobs that seemed fun, and I was over here, well, I have to go home, or I have to have an early morning, and making sure that the people that I was surrounding myself were good influences. And not that I was hanging around the wrong crowd, but it was just when building a business, I think that I like to surround myself with other business-like minded people. And that's where I've seen, in not only my business, but for myself, I've grown. And I'm thankful for that. I look at life and I look at meeting people as a sense of they have potential wisdom that I can take. And that's exciting. Not that I want to just take from them, but I want to be able to give as well. And I love meeting new people just because they might have something, a little wisdom or something that can help me help my life and my business. And so that's what's exciting about surrounding yourself with people that are encouraging and have the same mindset.
Well, I think you've just given another great piece of advice, almost reaching the point with you that you need to write a book. You've got some great wisdom yourself, and that is that you work in a quiet way to find the right people and keep adjusting. And I mentioned it indirectly or directly in some of the comments I made in the first segment about networking and associating, affiliating yourself with people and helping people and growing into the business community.
Yeah.
So often I'll see new businesses, typically they get caught up in the business and working inside the store or inside wherever they do work, and they don't reach out and they don't communicate beyond a small circle, even if they have a small circle of people. And that's another indirect or direct advantage of networking, is that you come across people that you never would have thought, hey, could have been one of the most important discussions I've ever had, and I never would have looked for this, but it just came.
Right.
And I hear you saying that. You've got to take the time to cast, as I call it, cast your net out from time to time and just see what's going on out there and talk to people.
Yep.
I think that's great. You've shown a lot of maturity in doing that. Now today you have a salon and a partner. Talk to a little bit about us.
Okay.
To us with the time we've got remaining in this
Yeah.
segment.
So after I was over at the hair studio, I had my own business. We moved over. Allie and I, we were looking for something bigger, and we said, hey, why don't we combine? Let's go in together and make it happen. Make it something a little bigger, something nicer. And so we both agreed, and we came up with Switch Hair Studio.
By the way, she's pointing
down
the street. It's 2 doors down from the studio.
If you're watching the video, you can see me pointing. But it's at 204 North Main Street. And we had looked around, and we found some different places, but we found 204, and it wasn't available at the time, and we were kind of bummed. But a week later, it opened up, and we knew, hey, we're calling dibs on that. So we worked hard. We had to change some things up in the studio, but we both went in together, got a DBA as Switch Hair Studio, got our license with the state of Texas, and we started, collecting. And she was bringing her business, I was bringing mine, which I was busy because having Allie next to me, someone that I could look up to, and just to kind of see her path. I feel that we complement each other well because she's good in areas, and I'm good in other areas too. And so with that, it's awesome. So I would encourage people to always, if you have someone that's in your kind of career, to look up to them and ask them questions. But so we joined together, and we worked hard to find the style and the feel that we wanted to. And Switch, we didn't know the name, what we wanted to name it, but we found out that we did some research, and downtown Conroe was from 1881 to 1891 was called Conroe Switch for those 10 years. And then shortly after, it became the city of Conroe, which it is today. And it was a pretty neat, since a switch station for the railroad.
That's what I would guess.
So we thought, hey, that's kind of cool. Switch kind of goes with hair, and then it was perfect because we wanted to create like the essence of our salon, old, vintage, but new. Since there's so a range of clients from older into young. All the young kids love that feel, that vintage, rustic. But then we have the older clients that come in, and it reminds them and it brings them back to their grandmother's home or when they were a child. And so it's pretty neat that everything can kind of go hand in hand and to make Switch Hair Studio. So we're here in downtown Conroe and fully loving it. Really, really. This Main Street has been incredible for us. Our business has taken off, skyrocketed, not only just with our location, but with social media and different things like that. So we're at Switch Hair Studio now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the background of the story. It's, to me, a pretty amazing story of entrepreneurship and really planning, training, interning, doing all the right things to be successful. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, we're going to visit further with Ashlyn about her partnership and with Allie and about the business and some of the daily challenges you face in the hair business or any business. So please stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Joyce with the Corner Pub in downtown Conroe. We're located at the corner of Simonton and North Main, just across the street from the courthouse. The week starts off Monday with open mic hosted by Alan, and Tuesday nights open mic hosted by Jeremy Bankhead. And on Thursday evening, McFarland Jams. There's nightly drink specials available every night, all night. And don't forget, live entertainment every weekend. To see a full list of events, visit our website at thecornerpubinconroe.com. So come join us at the Corner Pub, where the deli is open late.
Heaven's Army of Resources and Recreation Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization featuring a 10,000 square foot building located at 19325 FM 1485 West, New Caney, Texas. At Heaven's Army, we offer over 26 different services free for all ages, from karate, dance, drug and alcohol classes, anger management, parenting, food and clothing pantries, to just name a few. We are supported solely by volunteers and private donations. Our main mission is to glorify God in all that we do. At Heaven's Army, we strive to be a hand up, not a handout. Come check us out at 19325 FM 1485 West, New Caney, Texas, or call for more information at 281-689-5864. You may also learn more about Heaven's Army by visiting our website at heavensarmyofresources.com.
This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor, welcoming you back to today's edition of the Weekly Business Hour. We've been visiting with Ashlyn Kutter here in the studio. She is the co-owner of the Switch Hair Studio, just 2 doors down from our location. I gave it the thumb, right, Ashlyn? Just like you were doing. Great entrepreneurial story. Started when she was in high school, age of 16. She's a young entrepreneur, but she's been at it, what now, 6 years you've been in business?
Yes.
And you've got a partnership, and you've talked about that and how important it is to have partners that complement each other. Mm-hmm. Partnerships can be a real challenge for a lot of people. I'm on your team. I do best when I have a good partner, and when I look for somebody I complement. So in my business career, my most successful businesses were partnerships. So I never stand up and take credit. It was the partnership that made it work. So that's great stuff. Let me ask you something. You've come a long way. You've given a great story to us today, literally a great story of entrepreneurship. You're now here at 204 on North Main and downtown Conroe, which is a thriving part of Montgomery County. Got lots of people moving into the county. Where do you see your business, if you can share with us, 3 to 5 years from now?
3 to 5 years from now, I could see Switch growing, definitely expanding. I would like to see a few more stylists for sure inside. Our business has taken off just within the last 2 years. Oh, well, this November will be 2 years. It has grown tremendously. Allison has stopped taking new clients since her clientele is so expanded, and she's had those same dedicated clients for 11 years plus now. And for myself, I'm taking new clients, but referred to Ashlyn. If you don't request for me, since my clientele has grown so much, and I'm only one person and only have 2 hands, so I definitely see Switch expanding. I would like to see Switch. Not if we didn't necessarily expand with more stylists. I'd love to see us getting involved in throwing like some kind of party every 3 months or something like that, just to connect and give back to our clients, since we thank our clients. That's our big thing for Switch, is that we love our clients. And so I could see Switch, expanding. I really love our location, so I feel that I don't want to get rid of that closeness that we have there. So it's hard to say that if we were to ever move to a larger location. I feel that as though we would maybe expand as much as we can within Switch at 204, and then to see where that can take us.
Now, how many stylists do you currently have?
There's 3 of us currently, and we have one more spot to fill, and which we are taking applications and coming in and having a meeting with us and just chat with us to get to know them. So we're looking to fill that spot. And then we have our receptionist / salon manager who just takes control of the salon, just because it can get out of hand, and having the phone ring, so she books all of our appointments. And that is such a big help for us. I never thought I would ever have a receptionist, because when I first started off, there was so much answering phone calls after the long day. So I'm very thankful we have a receptionist to do all that for us now, and pull foil, all those little things. So I definitely see Switch growing so much more than it is today. So
let me ask you this. When you come to work every day, and every business is different, some similarities, but it's business, okay? What's the biggest challenge you face on a day-to-day basis in your business?
A day-to-day basis that I struggle, or with like business?
Well, not just struggle, just biggest challenge.
Every day. I would say to make sure that I separate, and everyone else in the salon, they separate their outside life and world into work. I think it's hard, because you start to grow these relationships with your clients, and they come to you to talk about their stuff, and they want to hear about you, but they don't want it all about you. And so to make sure that you show that little bit that you want that person to really know what's going on in my world, but knowing that minimum and, you know, not too much, something that you don't dwell in. But I also tell all of the two girls that work underneath Allie and I that when they come into work that we focus on work. And in that, for me, when I focus on work and I focus on for other people, which is our clients, it allows me, I feel, to forget about everything that I'm going through and to focus on them. So I think that's something that is that struggle, or something that I always want to be reminded of a daily basis, since life happens and things come and go and things happen to us individually. So I think that's what I would say.
Right. Well, you've made this point several times. You have to, I think, to be successful in any business, be client-centric.
Yep.
You've got to always focus on your clients, your customers, whatever you call them. But let me ask you this. You're in a very competitive business. I'm not a candidate necessarily for a beauty salon, but I see them. I see them
Yep.
around, and there's quite a few of them. And back in the day when I was in the real estate business, I was a leasing agent, and I leased to beauty shops, and some places we couldn't do it or whatever. But it's a competitive business.
It sure is.
How do you stand out in the crowd?
I love that question. How do we stand out in the crowd? Well, my goal for our salon is to bring something different to the community. I growing up and going to salons, I always felt uncomfortable going in. I felt maybe I was judged, or it was too sterile, or the stylists were talking about their after party life, or, you know, what's going on. And I never felt comfortable. And so what I say for Switch is we want to stand out. We want to have a different environment. We want it to be comfortable, but ultimately we want our stylists or our clients to come in and be able to communicate and talk with us what they want. And our goal too is, and our rule is, to not talk about other salons in the area. I kind of say this sometimes for background, like, not every church suits everyone, and not every salon suits everyone. And so I think it's about finding what salon you connect and you can relate with and you feel the best at. And so if you come to me and get your hair done by myself and it's not what you want, and I've tried over and over again, then maybe I'm just not your stylist. And so I think that's something that we always encourage, is where you need to find where you're suited well. So I think that's Switch's big goal, and to stand out is to be different in that sense, and to always be smiling and always giving. I think that's what's made our salon different. We've wanted to have appropriate pricing so people don't have to break the bank in order to come and get their hair done, since it's not only something to get their hair cut, but it kind of is a luxury in a sense. So we strive for to have moderate pricing so our clients can come and enjoy that hour or that 2 hour gap. So,
well, I think, and you make a critical point, is that you're really in a personal service business,
right?
And you create that personality. And if we mesh, if I'm a potential client,
yes,
then that's my place. And
right.
I agree. I do the same thing when I get my hair cut. So I empathize a little bit or understand that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break now. This will be our final break, and we'll be back with our final segment. If you'll just please stay with us. We've been visiting with Ashlyn Kutter about the business that she started really when she was 16, started preparing for it. And if you'll join us, we're going to talk a little bit more about work-life balance and some of the things that Ashlyn does to make her business work even better by taking a little time off. So we'll be right back with you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Bonita DeRosa, Animal Control Officer for the City of Willis. We invite you to tune in to Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. for the Willis Hour. On the first Thursday of the month, the Willis Hour will be covering upcoming events and news about the city. Join in the conversation with your city officials and other leaders in the community. On the third, we will be doing a recap of the last City Council meeting. The mission of the City of Willis is to provide high-quality services, accountability, and professional commitment to our citizens. We pledge to provide those who live, work, and visit our city an effective government that is open and responsive to the needs and values of the community. Again, we invite you to tune in on Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 for the Willis Hour.
You're listening to Lone Star Internet Radio now for your daily weather report. Today is Monday, May 19th, 2014. Today's forecast will be partly sunny with a high near 84, south winds 5 to 15 miles an hour, and later tonight will be partly cloudy with a low around 65.
This weather forecast is brought to you by Wick Public Relations. You've seen the billboards, that's right, Wicked Publicity. Contact them today at 832-326-1965 and visit wickedpublicity.com.
Hey Lone Star Internet Radio listeners, Megan Lichtenstein here from the Woodlands Convention and Visitors Bureau, inviting you and your family to visit the Woodlands this Memorial Day weekend, Saturday, May 24th and Sunday, May 25th from 6 to 9 p.m. at Town Green Park in the Woodlands Town Center. Enjoy 2 evenings of live music, strolling entertainers, children's activities, and dazzling fireworks displays presented by Wells Fargo. Pack a picnic or grab carryout from one of the Woodlands' local restaurants for a picnic on the green. Memorial Day weekend in the Woodlands is produced by the Woodlands Convention and Visitors Bureau and made possible by our sponsors: Wells Fargo, the Woodlands Development Company, Xfinity, Bud Light, Houston Family Magazine, Sunny 99.1, Monday Chevrolet, Texas Premier Mortgage, Wright's Printing and Marketing, Kroger, Kidville, Remax the Woodlands in Spring, the Woodlands Resort and Conference Center, Kona Ice, DreamWorks How to Train Your Dragon 2, and Gigi's Cupcakes. So grab your coolers and picnic baskets, and we'll see you this Memorial Day weekend at Town Green Park in the Woodlands. For details, go to visitthewoodlands.com or call 281-363-2447.
This is Rick Schissler, your Silver Fox advisor, welcoming you back to the weekly business hour. Everyone's laughing now. I picked up a little chit-chat here in the studio. We always have fun here, especially with the guests that we have today. We have the Switch Girl. Is that okay if I call you a girl, Ashlyn?
You know, I can accept that.
Well, you're not
That's
old
all right.
enough yet. You know, older ladies like to be called girls. My wife tells me that. So, but we have a young lady in the studio who's been preparing a long time, and I've mentioned that, to be in her business and climb slowly but surely right up the ladder of success. A lot of wisdom you've shared with us today, and I really appreciate that. Today, though, moving on, I'd like to talk a little bit about work-life balance. I do that typically with my guests, and everybody's got a different challenge, and you and I had kind of an interesting conversation about this earlier. Share with us how you figured out how to take a little time off or have a little bit of life along with the great amount of work that you've done to be where you are today.
Well, when I first started, I didn't really give myself a whole lot of breaks, which whether it could have been good or not, I take it as good because where I'm at today. But now to level out everything is I have my set hours that I work. Since my business has grown a lot and I'm pretty consistent in all of that from Tuesday through Saturday, I make sure that I spend time on the weekend doing little getaways. I enjoy working in the yard. I think that's important. For me, family is very, very key. My business partner, she's a wife and a mother, and that's something that I really admire about her, because one day I want to be that. I would love to be a wife, and if my future holds children, then to be a mom. And so for her, I've looked up to her, and how she plans things is that she will pre-book everything. She'll have her planner and her calendar, and she'll make set, like her whole summer's already planned. Since her kids are off of school, she knows exactly the weekends that she's taking off, whether she's taking off an early day to do something with the family in the evening, or a long weekend, so she would take off her Saturday. So I try to ever so often take a Saturday off where I can either spend some time with family, or if I want to do a little mini trip to Galveston or to Austin. But for me to really truly get inspired, sometimes you can get burnout. I love what I do. I have such a passion for it, and it's fun and it's exciting. Every day is different, but I still sometimes get a little tired. And so I don't think that's a bad thing. I feel that I found where I can get encouraged again to get back into the field of working. And so I do that I like music and I can do nature things, but spending times with people that I just feel uplifted really encourages me. So I think that's what I try to do is plan out. And I'm not too good at that, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better at that. And so I try to do like 3 months and then take a little trip. I used to, before we moved to Switch, I would travel a lot, and I enjoyed that. I would go on to Seattle and Nashville, and I was thankful I was able to do that. But now with my business really growing, it's a little harder to get away. And so I need to really truly work on that to make sure that I have, designated set times and not feel obligated to hang out with family in that time. I'm a very big family person, but I know that I also have to do what's best for Ashlyn, and whether that's a little getaway trip or maybe a stay vacation. So that's what I try to do to kind of do a healthy balance. Working out has been something that is good too, just to stimulate and get focused, just because when you're running a business, it can be kind of exhausting. So just giving more energy to yourself. And
well, one of the things I think you have an advantage over certain businesses, and I consider it an advantage, is you work off a planner anyway because you have appointments. And I think one of the challenges that most business people have when they start a business, particularly, or run their own business, is the planner.
Right.
I don't necessarily have a lot of appointments in a day, so I have to have a to-do list or something. And you touched on a point that's very dear to my heart, and that's planning.
Yeah.
I believe every business should have some kind of plan, and I'm the one-page planner if that's all we can get done. Because not just for time off, but what the goals are for the business. In other words, sales, product, and whatever. I mean, there's a million goals that a business can have, but I encourage people to write down at least an annual plan of, okay, here are my benchmarks for the year.
Yeah.
This is really what we want to achieve in this business. And it sounds like your partner particularly has used the day planner, which they've spent 11 years, you mentioned, really trained under it, and the idea to look ahead a month, 2 months, 3 months, and mark out time, I think is a real convenient, neat way to be able to do that. Let me ask you something, and I'm going to ask you to kind of be an advisor, to switch sides of the table, if you will, take my role.
Okay.
You've got someone who's come to you. You obviously have built to this point what I would consider a successful business, done a lot of good things. So I approach you. I'm not necessarily a young person. I may be working in a job somewhere, but I really have a desire, I have an idea, a passion of opening a business. What advice would you give me about going out on my own? What particular piece of advice would you give me as I am contemplating going into business for myself?
I'm stepping back into when I started in the mindset. And what I would do differently. I would recommend or give advice to someone that was excited or wanted to start a business. I would probably say to write it down and to keep it close. Like where you want to see yourself out, write those things down. That's something that I did. Write a goal for every 2-3 years. Mine was 18, 21, and 25. Those were my since I was 17. Those were my 3 ages that I wanted to accomplish something. So I felt that those 3 years in between was a moderate time to get something done. But I would say is to get out, stay determined. I think that's what would have helped me and what I think other people can do. Not only make a list, but stay determined. And like I said, putting yourself around other people that can push you to do that as well. Because we can push ourselves so much, but when other people are around us to kind of get us straight. One thing that I would also recommend is getting a group of people, and my dad, and I wanted to bring this up to you, is a board of directors. Mm-hmm. And my dad has always pushed me to, and that's something that I'm working on currently, is to have a board of directors. And whether you have started your business or you haven't started your business, I think it's a wonderful idea to surround, my dad says maybe 6 to 8 people that you can meet with them every couple months, every month if you can, to sit around and discuss where you want to see yourself and to get ideas of what steps you needed to take to get to that goal. And I think not only big goals, but have little goals, personal goals with that achievement, because then you can feel like you're actually accomplishing something. So if someone's starting their business, have big goals, but then have small ones, so you can make sure that you're achieving them and you're feeling confident, because then you'll find your confidence boost to think that, oh, that big goal isn't far away, or hey, all these little ones are going down, and this big one, when I get there, isn't going to be that big of a goal, or because it's pretty simple. So that's what I would recommend.
Well, I think what you're mentioning to me is what I call an advisory board.
Okay.
And what your dad suggested. I happen to be a big believer. The Silver Fox organization is a big believer in advisory boards. I think when you start a business, perhaps start with a mentor.
Okay.
In other words, because you're just starting your business, multiple people involved may be a little overwhelming. I'm a big believer in mentors. Obviously, that's what I do now for a living.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm passionate about it. I had mentors, though, when I built the 5 businesses that I built. I've had advisory boards.
Yeah.
So I've been on both sides, and I'm an advocate for both. I think when your business does reach a certain size, though, that you need to reach out to perhaps fewer than what your dad suggests, maybe 3 to 5 people.
Okay.
Because the biggest thing is challenge is getting people to commit the time.
Right.
Everybody's busy. And the way I play it out is I try to find an accountant, a lawyer, because those are the professionals you should have, and not necessarily your lawyer or your accountant, but you should be able to produce some kind of financial statements.
Okay.
Because people that run businesses that have reached that level need to be showing some kind of financial results that can be tracked. Even if you don't owe money to anybody that requires them, you need to be able to track some kind of financial numbers to show that where you're going, up or down or staying the same. Third, probably a marketing person, someone that really is involved or you respect. And then from there, you just go beyond someone in your industry, you can pick and you can get. But the key and the challenge, and I've set these up for other people, is finding people that will, be passionate or take the time. So you kind of look around your circle, and if you've networked well, you'll have people. And the other thing I think it's important in the long run, maybe not initially, is you somehow compensate those people, because you want them to see this as a commitment.
Right.
It's not just to show up to have a beer and talk about something.
Yeah.
You want them to say, if you have financials, to look at them ahead of time. And it's pretty easy to get people kind of fired up if you find the right people to spend that time, because you're talking about an hour and a half, maybe once every 2 or 3 months, I would suggest, once a quarter, whatever. Now, you can always bring groups of people together and brainstorm ideas for your business. And that's more of an invitation with, provide them a little lunch or something like that and say, I really want to hear what y'all have to say about my idea. Send them your idea ahead of time, or send them some information and say, here, let's sit around and just chat. And I think that's always an easy way to just talk about ideas. So, but having outside advisors and whatnot, I think, is a very critical part. Mentors. We've had people on the show that give a lot of credit to their mentors.
Yeah.
I'm not their mentor, but a lot of credit to the success of their business of having someone who was a dedicated mentor to them as they went through their business. So, wonderful area. I commend your dad. And one thing I want to mention, Ashlyn, you and I visited from time to time, and your dad comes up.
Yeah.
And that he's helped you, directed you. I think he's helped you on all kinds of issues, from construction to otherwise.
Yes.
So in a sense, he's a mentor and advisor. So you've had somebody. My dad served in a similar capacity when I first started. So congratulations to you, and thank you to your dad for helping you get a good start. If people want to contact you and are interested in doing business with you, how do they do that?
You can find us. We have our website's under construction, but if you go to switchstudiotx.com, it'll take you to our Facebook page, and on there you can send us a message right on our wall to contact us. There's also telephone numbers there that you can reach us, our salon line and our personal cell phones as well. So if you're wanting to book an appointment, or maybe, hey, you're new to the industry and maybe you're in hair and want to get some wisdom and counsel, and if I can help, I would love to chat with you. So you can find us there.
Okay.
I think even going online, you can Google Switch Hair Studio, and our Yelp and all those other things will pop up. So that's another access way that you can get a hold of me or anyone else in the salon.
Okay. And what's that location address one more time?
Our location, we are at 204 North Main Street, and our telephone number is 936-760-2488, and we are open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6.
Okay, well,
So
I
you can get us
appreciate
there.
that. And I want to remind everybody, this is in downtown Conroe, just a block south from the courthouse. So there are lots of businesses around the downtown area, and if you haven't visited downtown Conroe and it is convenient to you, I encourage you to do so, because you can walk around and do business with people like Ashlyn and the other folks that are here, so please come on out. And thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining our program today, taking time to do it. And I personally want to wish you a happy Memorial Day. We're coming up on the holiday. Hope you and your family have an enjoyable and safe weekend. And again, thank you for joining us today. And until next week, please keep your dial right where it is on good old Montgomery County Community Radio, irlonestar.com, broadcasting to you from the heart of downtown Conroe. Thanks.
Hey everyone, this is Tina, your host from Retro Saturdays. I wanted to invite you to visit the Lone Star Studios here in downtown Conroe, Texas. We're all volunteers here, and we need your help in serving the Montgomery County area. Radio media is a fun field to be in. Lone Star Internet Radio serves Montgomery County with news, current events, local programming, and of course, music. If you are interested in volunteering and sharing your talents in media, go to irlonestar.com and let us hear from you. Lone Star Internet Radio, serving Montgomery County from the heart of downtown Conroe.